Now, welcome to Tinto.Bricks. This is my little store in the center of Haarlem. My hobby that's ever growing and slightly getting bigger every time. Unsorted Brick invited me to have a little store tour, and now here we are.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks for driving all that way.
Yeah, it was a long drive, but that's okay.
2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Have a look around and I will explain what you can see in detail.
Let's start over here.
The Minifigure station, well, that's what it's going to be. So far this is just my little setup for sorting the different figures in the different categories that I've made up myself. Some are very obvious, like the bigger themes, but some are maybe a bit less obvious, like the police and the rescue and crooks have together for some reason. I don't really remember why I did it that way. Like Scooby-Doo and Toy Story also, I guess because I don't have a lot of pieces. So I store them in here because they're mainly not complete. Like this cool Zerk figure, it needs the bigger cape. So it's in there, I've put the parts on my wanted list. And then when I can find it for a reasonable price, I put it in the store immediately.
As I can see, you focus on some teams, or do you work on all teams of the minifigures?
It depends on what I can get my hands on. Actually, it is I just buy random lots. Like this one, I still need to sort out into different categories. Sometimes when you look at it, you immediately see some interesting pieces or parts, and sometimes I can recognize them straight away. And sometimes not, and I just leave it in there. And I usually start by getting all the legs out that don't have any prints on, and I put them in my wall because obviously it's a toy, so children might have played with it, and they're not in the original state. So I just sort them through, and then whatever is in here I put in the category. And I started with these, so if it was full or I needed a new category, I would just combine them, so I could just empty a drawer out. I can make the new category that's how do you say that, more dominant in the lot that I bought. I will put it in there. And this is what just left over after a couple of months and years trying to figure things out. And now currently I'm branching out to a bit more specific, like the turtles used to only have a big compartment, but now I'm dividing them into the different turtles and some other figures. And it's an ongoing process. I don't really have a plan when I start. It just
happens.
It just happens.
It just happens.
It just happens.
It's a great example, as I'm still figuring out it a bit, and it's really cool to see how you've done it, as it gives me a good idea on which teams or sets are a bit good to focus on, so to say.
Yeah, actually the only theme that I immediately upload and try to complete is the Lord of the Rings series. That's where you can see it only has a few parts in it now, because as soon as I can complete them, I put them in the store, and usually they sell within maybe a week or two. And the same goes with the Star Wars figures. They don't always all sell very good, but so these are it says it on here, waiting for parts. Obviously, but some of these are not very popular, so I just leave them in there until I find the parts for the price that I want to buy them for. And as soon as they're completed, they go in the store.
Cool.
Harry Potter is one of those themes that I, for some reason, don't really have any feel with.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, so maybe there is some valuable figs in there. I've got no idea, but at some point I'm sure that I'll get to it. Yeah.
Sure.
And the Marvel actually also always sells pretty good. So
okay.
Yeah,
really cool.
This is my used sorting section, as you might call it. You can see I've created some, for me, logical groups, main groups, some stickered, some non-stickered. Like for instance, these are all tiles and smooth pieces. I sort them out, and when the bin is full, the idea is that I sort them a bit more specific, like these is definitely ready for sorting again. I check the quality. I've got 2 bins here on my desk. Well, I've been recently going through a lot of minifigure pieces, so these are all the pieces that didn't really quite make the cut, and there's a little scratch in the mouth.
It's not sellable.
I think it's not sellable.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that sell these pieces on Bricklink and make a remark. I just choose to collect them when the pick-a-brick cup is nice and handy for it. When it's full, I just fill it up in a bag. And I've got this container here where I sell my parts as bulk that either I wasn't really feeling in going through, which happened with this bag. Maybe I will change my mind. Maybe I will change my mind at some point, or like these with a yellowed head. And then I just sell them in bulk again for people that are interested in it, or maybe it's nice for kids to play with.
Yeah, it's nice for kids. They don't mind it as much, but as running as a business, in my opinion, it's also yellow pieces. You just can't sell it.
Exactly.
It's not good for the.
And like this bar, it had a broken clip. I just choose not to sell it. I don't want any discussions with my customers about the quality of the bricks. So this is, these containers, this is when it first comes in. I typically just search through all the minifigure parts and accessories. I get them out, and then they go in here. And then I portion them into smaller containers. Sometimes I just take these home with me. And I sort them in those categories that I just showed you in the front. And at first, my dream was always to complete the sets that are in there. But it just takes so much time, and I've got so much now that I really can't keep track of which box goes with what box, and so I just decided to just treat it as one
just a big pile.
Just a big pile, and then I just sort through it. As always, I try to focus on the minifigure pieces and the accessories. The accessories I will show you. I have a very specific sorting process. So this is a bulk lot that I purchased like this. Sometimes you're lucky to find these kind of things. It can have quite a bit of value, sometimes more than you expect. You look at it and you think, but there can be some very expensive pieces in there, like screwdrivers and some specific weapons. Well, I sort the teeth and and when a bin is full, I upload them.
Yeah, it's much easier if you have a higher quantity to just take the time and effort to do it then.
Yeah, and just save it up and
and what's really cool to see, on your advice, I've ordered these bins with smaller bins in them.
I don't know how I lived my life without these bins, to be honest. I have by the way, while we're talking about it, this IKEA cabinet here. Then I put some of my trays in.
It's easy for storage,
Easy for storage, but also for taking some stuff home. Like when I sit on the sofa and I like to sort a little bit out. But the problem is that I always did not bring the case that I wanted to bring, that I end up needing. So it's sometimes the idea is better than the result.
Just a lot of stuff.
Just a lot of stuff. Little things, like this type of
lightsaber hilts.
Lightsaber hilts and stuff. I just put them all together, and then at some point I specify them more and more. Okay.
And I see you separate used and new in the walls you have.
Yeah, this is I quite recently decided that this part of my store is also going to be a Lego store, because I found it a bit difficult to keep the used and the new pieces together. Also, I feel like with the used, it's a bit easier to just mix lots together like this. I would never do this with the new. Not because of the scratching, it just doesn't feel right for some reason. Also, the quantity is lower of some items.
Most of the times it is, and it just saves some space.
Definitely.
Running a store is usually a battle between space, time,
Yeah.
and
You got it
finding the
right.
good stuff.
So actually, next week on the program is to make this a bit neater. So I'm going to hang these up because at the moment these are all still loose.
Ooh, okay.
It happened already a couple of times that, especially in these two cabinets, that for some reason my arm twitched and I dropped the entire box.
Ooh.
And there's some stuff down here that I still need to sort out. So I'm going to hang them up.
Yeah.
And I'm going to build this wall. That's my next project. This entire wall, I'm going to, well, until how I can reach it, and then I can use the top ones to store my sets or whatever.
Sets.
Yeah, and this is my backlog.
It's quite a backlog you've gathered.
Yeah, it's I'm currently working through it, and it was actually twice the size in the last month. I decided that it was time to hit a dent in the backlog pile.
Yeah.
So I got all the single sets out and I put them on top of my new cabinets, deciding later maybe I will sell them, maybe I will part them out as single sets, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But these are all the sets I have multiple of.
And you said the bins you take home, but parting out happens here, or do you do that?
I typically do that at home.
Okay.
I had at some point a friend of mine working in the shop for one day in the week, and a Monday, and later on in the Friday, and then he did it here. The reason why I asked for some help is because at some point, I don't know why, it was just a little brain fart, if you can call it that way. I decided that because I had quite a few big sets, that I was just going to upload them and see if that would increase my order amount. And it did. Drastically increased my order amount, but the problem was I couldn't find the pieces because I just had, and this is actually the remains of what I still need to sort out, and my friend actually helped me to so this was the tree house, which was just dumped in one of these containers, and well, if you need to find some pieces, that's just horror and not time efficient at all. So he sorted them in color for me, which so now I only have to take 1 or 2 bins out, and he started to put away all the parts, like the most Isley Cantina, for example. I can't actually quite remember which sets were there. The Barracuda Bay set. So they were quite large sets, and I had 1 or 2 of them as well. So it was a bit of a situation I got myself into, and but he helped me out, and from there on, now this is only left. And those parts I still need to find a place at some point, but I can find the parts fairly easy in those trays now. They're sorted by color, so I think I'm just going to leave it like this until I just like smaller quantities. Sometimes when I'm putting away a tray and I can see that one of the locations is one of these boxes, I'll just pick them out and sort them out while I'm uploading new parts. Yeah, all the new pieces, I sort them in, well, the same cabinets that you use, I believe.
The Recos.
Recos.
Yeah.
Which after some trial and error, big error, I found the most convenient drawer cabinets. I like it that they're sturdy and metal. I also have, for the minifigures that I showed you before, I have the Stanleys, which I also find very handy, but I find them a little bit more expensive. The Recos actually aren't cheap, but the Stanleys are even more expensive. Okay. But I prefer them for the minifigures for some reason, because the small drawers are a little bit smaller, and because you specify certain items into smaller drawers, and I have, I think, a good use of the space. Mm-hmm. And so after some trial and error, I started expanding, well, as you do. I started with this first column. I used to have shelves here with all my backlog and boxes and some other stuff for my other business. And slowly but surely the shelves got taken away, and I put more and more cabinets up.
Lego store took over.
It does, and it's, I built the last construction I made was this section here. I just used some of the old shelves and I made a little frame where I screwed this section of 10 drawer cabinets on. Mm-hmm. Labeling is not my, yeah, actually I quite hate it. My pet hate, I would say.
Pet peeve.
Yeah, so
of course.
I started
Likewise.
by just numbering only the end drawers, and then I had to count back. But yeah, after some point I realized it's just, I need to find a way to to do that a bit more efficient. So then I found out this way. I just make a long strip. Sometimes I make them longer than this with all the numbers, and I use these sorting trays. I just stick it to my belly for a little bit. I get some scissors that I don't have by hand right now, or here, and I just give it a little cut. So I don't have to peel all the the little bits of the back all the time.
That's actually a really great tip.
It works for me.
Awesome.
But you have to let go of the fact that the stickers aren't equally as long all the time.
Yeah, and even indeed, and
Yeah.
sometimes.
So,
yeah.
well, obviously I'm trying to talk. I'm not very good with speaking and doing it at the same time.
Doing two things at a time is just.
It's terrible. But then you get the idea. I just take them across and I just stick them on like so.
Yeah.
For me,
Really.
it works quite efficiently, and I've done this entire section in like half an hour or so, which I think is pretty awesome. So
usually it takes me about 10 minutes if I do it my way. So if you do this in half an hour, I'm going to try it for sure.
Yeah, I think for me it works. But yeah, about my new pieces. Well, sometimes you buy you come in. You buy a pick and brick cup or something, and you have some higher quantities of items. Obviously, they go in the big drawer. This one is actually a bit overflowing, so this might want moving into one of the other containers. I can't even close it anymore. But I also use the bigger compartments. I must say that lately I'm not really doing this anymore, but I started off by putting some more pieces in big drawers, and I used the sorting tray, just tip it out and then look for the pieces. But more and more it gets cluttered, because this little box might contain 25 or 30 different items, and it's just not ideal. So when I part out a new set, for instance this green plate, I'll come to the decision that this is not a great spot for me. I'll just move it to somewhere else when I come across it. Minifigures I commonly keep in the bigger trays. The new figures I don't assemble anymore. I used to do it, but yeah, after watching some vlogs, I think actually, why am I doing this? It could take away some of the fun, and it's more efficient to do it this way. So I just keep it like this, and then at least it's really new and never built. And this is, for example, one of those Lego movie sets that I've been, these are minifigures, brick built minifigures that I just keep in these big drawers. Yeah, and the rest, it's all what you know. I try to divide them in threes most of the time, sometimes in four. I put one in the middle for the smaller pieces. But more and more, since my quantity of some slower moving pieces is growing, I decide to just give parts a single draw. So it really slows me down that every time when I'm parting out a set and it's immediately overflowing because I only have like a third section of the drawer, it just slows me down because I need to take it out, I need to go into brick stock, I need to change the number, and it's just time is essential in the business. So sure. I've learned along the way, but there's still a lot of old bad decisions that I need to deal with. But
in time it will get better.
Yeah, slowly but surely it's getting better, definitely. Well, I use the same system I think that you do. I just when a compartment is empty, or I feel like it's I could utilize the space a bit better, I just flip it backwards, and then the next time I'm going to sort out the set. For example, this was recently on offer, and I think most of the Dutch resellers purchased this set, mostly because of the minifigures. So the minifigures, I think I already sold them all mostly, but the parts I still need to upload. So this is my system. I take my trays home and I sort them out in color at first, and then I'm using brick stock to upload them by color, so I don't have to do it all in one go.
Yeah.
This is just because I'm too busy to focus on uploading a bigger set, because this had, to my surprise, quite a few pieces.
Yeah.
I didn't really anticipate on it to have so many pieces, so I was quite surprised that there were 6 bags and they were all very full.
Yeah.
This is here now, and I still need to put it away. Also, in my defense, I couldn't put it away because I didn't label the drawers. Now I had created some space, so now I can actually start putting them away, and that will be one of the things that we'll be doing next week. Because I think 3 sets, so nice amount of pieces that I can add to the store. But yeah, quite interesting colors with the tan always seems to sell pretty good. And of course the dark gray pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then yeah, every time I try to bring the smaller sets home, the poly bags, and then my children can help me to sort them out in the trays. I bring them here and I put them away. So I only have to focus on, yeah, when the orders come, I use my trays like this. I never pack the used and the new parts together. So I commonly have a tray for used and a tray for new. These, by the way, are the minifigure pieces that I recently bought from the Build a Minifigure scheme on the Lego website.
Huh.
I uploaded them already. They are in the store, but I did not put them away, except for the one part that was in there that I already had in the store that I forgot all about. So yeah, as you can see, there's many unfinished projects, some construction that my son was building to see if it was complete. That's hanging around for weeks because he doesn't really often come here. Sometimes I pick him up after school on the Wednesdays, and then he likes to mess about in the shop a bit, and then I try to give him a little task of finding a set together, and sometimes it works pretty good, but for this specific set there were quite a lot of pieces missing that I along the way now ordered by Bricklink. So I think this is all complete now, but it needs some cleaning and putting together and taking apart to just make sure. This is one of those sets that's just, I don't think it's a really quick mover, but it will add a nice variety of items to the store that I didn't have. And so there's a lot of little projects going on. This is a lot that I bought quite recently with more classic themed, for instance this western set with some of the Indians. This is the Rapid River set something, I don't really quite remember the name of it, but I've sorted them out in the different categories like I would do with the used parts, but I kept this separate in this cabinet that I purchased, that somebody built themselves, and for some reason perfectly fits my my plastic boxes that I bought from Action years ago. So I could use it like this, which is quite handy. So I've sorted them in different categories. It comes with a nice folder with all the instruction manuals. So yeah, I've actually already completed some classic space sets. Some of them are already sold.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, the thing always seems to happen with me is that something else comes along and I start working on a different project and it just stays behind. And I tell myself that I want to finish jobs, but somehow
the next shiny piece comes and you get distracted.
Yeah,
I
get distracted.
recognize the feeling for sure.
I bump into something, I start doing that, and but I do believe that out of all the things that I do, I get the most valuable items out immediately, and I try to sell them as quick as possible. But yeah, throughout the years I have collected quite a few lots now, and like I said before, now I came to the point that I'm just going to put everything together and just sell the parts in bulk, and upload them in bulk, and then try to sell them. Nice lunch. Yeah, so because the things that you know, along the way you decide things, or you choose for a quick solution, but in the long run it kind of catches up on you and you want to do things differently. One of those things for me is this horrible drawer of instruction manuals and stickers and every time I see a sticker appear on the pick list, I started to panic a little bit, thinking, oh my gosh, this is going to take me a lot of time to find it, and now actually
Another drawer that can't close.
yeah.
Fixed it.
So that's one of those things that I really would like to change. You know, maybe ideally it would be better to just you know, spend an afternoon yeah, sorting it out. But I'm also contemplating not to sell instruction manuals anymore.
Yeah.
Apart from some of the used, yeah, not so a bit more rare sets, like I had some Ninja Turtle sets that I purchased. Those manuals do sell. I have some, yeah, more older sets that they do seem to move, and also you can ask a little bit more money for them, because these yeah, the instruction manuals of the new sets that I keep piling, nobody ever buys them. They take up a lot of storage space, and I'm not sure. Maybe I want to get rid of it in a bulk buy on Marketplace, eBay, whatever.
Yeah, it would take 15 years, I think, before these manuals become relevant even.
Yeah, exactly. So that's one of those things that yeah, it has quite a prominent place in my sorting station right now, and it's I just feel like I need to move it. And also, yeah, you stepped on it a couple of times. I need to find a better place for my little boxes.
I have big feet. My apologies.
So yeah, and my main goal is to learn to finish projects. That's one of those things that yeah, it keeps happening, and maybe it's a personality issue.
Nah, it happens to all of us. It happens to me too.
There's so many nice things.
Yeah.
And oh yeah, I see you moved your gift.
You gifted me something, and I just wanted to show it in the video. It's really awesome to see my logo on a t-shirt and a hat. So yeah, thanks for the gift. Really appreciate it.
You're much welcome.
It's
I like to make these things,
so I can represent myself in the video the next time.
Yeah. No denying, and so the brick is real.
Yeah. It's the thing now.
Yeah.
And other things you want to change?
Well, my new expansion is going to come over here. I'm going to be working on it the next couple of weeks. This table and this whole setup is going to move, and they're going to be about 20 new cabinets in this corner alone.
Oh.
So that will be a nice expansion that I can feed on for maybe the rest of the year. So I don't have to worry about any more expansion issues and room, because I'm kind of fed up of having to use the same drawer for multiple lots. I don't see myself going through every bin to see if I can move it to somewhere else, but I would like to have the flexibility to, when I open a drawer and I'm really not liking it, I can just change it there and then when I encounter it.
Yeah.
So that's why I just want to have everything labeled and sorted out, so I can just I don't have to slow down while I'm putting away things and tidying the place up a little bit more. And I would like to have more of these bigger drawers. Are my ideas to just fill these up with the same drawers, like these bigger ones. I tried with the other ones, but this is the one that I believe you have the same.
No. I've got a bit different, but I do got these. Yeah, I do got those, but these are a bit bigger than mine, I believe. But
okay. But
that's
it's
okay.
The same brand, I think.
Yeah, Iris.
Yeah. So I'm going to I want to have the big row with these ones, so I can have my sorting station, and maybe also for some minifigure lots that I don't want to be handling, that's balancing on top of things now.
It would be all for used.
For all for used parts.
Categories, yeah.
Used categories, also the smaller categories that I still have in these trays. These trays, you keep coming across them in the store.
Yeah.
That I use now for ticket pieces. And then when it's full, I'll handle with it. But I would like them in bigger trays as well, because especially these little parts, it's to figure this out and upload it one by one is just really not worth my time, I think. So although with everything that together, it would be quite some value.
Yeah, but you can have a higher quantity to focus them on it and do it one by each color.
Exactly.
So,
and now when this one fills up, I just end up putting it in a bag like this, and then I put it on top of a shelf. It's not really going anywhere. It's just moving
them around.
Moving them around
in bigger and bigger quantities.
Exactly. And and then I attempt to sort them out by color, and then it's such a tedious job. Maybe I can
source it out to the kids.
Yeah, exactly. Or the wife.
Maybe.
Although she really seems to be too interested in my Lego addiction, if you might call it that way. I used to have a store office at home, and it was at some point it grew a bit too big, and it was not really appreciated that there's all bins and storage and plastic bags everywhere.
Can imagine that.
So I must say that my working efficiency has improved, because now I really have to think about what am I going to do, and I bring little projects home. So I have one shelf in the living room that I can utilize for my addiction, and that's it. So I have to really use my time and space efficiently. And it's a big learning curve, and I still learn every day. It's definitely not perfect, but you ask me a piece and I can just get it in 10 or 15 seconds. It looks unorganized to some people maybe, but it's getting there.
Yeah, it's whatever works for you, of course, and
sometimes you think it works, and then in the end it just doesn't work out at all. One little example is these train tracks that I have.
The curve pieces.
The curve pieces. The straight pieces are also in there.
Oh, okay.
But I didn't know at first that these pins. This is also actually a part.
Yeah.
And for some reason, this is the part that I sell the most of the train track.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
But I marked it as that I put it in here, but I had no idea. I was looking at it, what is this? Until at some point I figured out that it was keeping them all together. And now whenever I sell, so I got two here, but whenever I sell them I need to take them apart and I have to tip the entire box out. It's quite a nuisance. Luckily I don't sell them very often.
Yeah.
But it's just those little things that you keep finding. I mean, I have a lot of bulk pieces that I just chuck together in my shoe boxes, like this cute little guy.
Yeah.
And it's just a mix of all sorts of items that I don't really want to fit in the drawer, like this battery box. These Technic pieces, the electric pieces, sell quite well. Yes.
Yeah. As the train pieces also.
And these little motors. Actually, I had a few new customers to Bricklink and BrickOwl that actually made an account to buy specifically these motors, and I didn't really understand why until I started looking them up, and they're really quite expensive to buy new, these little things. So I stumbled upon a lot that actually a friend of mine made sure that I was gifted to me, and that's how because I was never really into Technic Lego, but there's some really valuable pieces in there, and so I strongly recommend, because it's often overlooked by resellers, I feel, but the Technic parts can be a real surprisingly expensive. Even the simple items can be quite expensive. 3 or 4 euros for a part, I think, is well worth looking into sometimes. So a little tip on the side.
Nice. Thanks.
The question was really, what am I going to change? Well, like my personality is really coming through with the mess you can see.
It's a bit chaotic.
Chaotic.
All over the place, but that's okay.
But the expansion of the used section is definitely also high on the list, since I have quite a lot of used to still sort through. Some partially built sets, quite dusty, that I still need to, this is how I got them, that I still need to clean, take apart and sort through. But I have quite a lot already, and this section is actually over half full now, except for the bins that can use a little bit more. But I'm going to expand it all the way to here, and I'm going to get rid of the stuff that's underneath, so it can be a nice big wall of used parts. I think that's what my focus is going to lay on in the rest of the year, and then the backlog maybe for later. Yeah.
So how did you get in the Lego reselling hobby?
Interesting. I started. I've always liked Lego, of course. When I was a younger kid, I still have all my old Lego sets at my parents' house. I used to spend days playing with Lego, and then I got children. My first son was born, and I actually couldn't wait until he was old enough to start playing with Lego, which I found took quite a bit of time before they get to an age where they're really into, with all the small details and trying to really build something. But when he turned 4, I thought it was time for to introduce the Lego, and so I was looking on Marktplaats, and I found an old collection. Somebody was selling this collection, mainly Star Wars Lego, and I'd never seen any Star Wars films at that point. But I thought, oh, that's pretty cool. That could be something that we could sort out together, and it could be a fun thing to do. So I picked that up, and it was a lot more than I expected it to be, and I could buy it for only like 250 euros. Absolutely ridiculous deal that I didn't really appreciate that much at the time. But looking back on things, that really set things off. They already sorted the minifigures out, so it had a big bag of Star Wars minifigures, and then I didn't mean anything to me, so I started looking on the internet. Where can I find? And soon I came to Bricklink, and I could see all the part pieces, and it was very difficult to figure out what goes where and which figure was what. And I started sorting through all the other Lego, and I figured out that, okay, these puppets go in this set, so I'd probably be able to complete this set, and that's how it started for me. And I bought loads of these containers to put all the little parts in, and for what I thought at that time was a good way to do it. And my son was not interested at all in the Lego, not at all. So it was more and more my obsession in the late hours to try and sort through the thousands and thousands of pieces of Lego, and I found that very calming. It was some mindfulness lessons for me. So it took my mind off things, and I started to really enjoy it. And that's when I started looking up other stores, see how they do it. And I think the first one was just a Brick in the Bucket, because they had some of the tutorial videos on how to set up a store and how to organize things. And so I started watching them, and then you get sucked down the wormhole and the rabbit hole of YouTube. And I started following things like Bob's Blog Shop and Keith from Brick Arena. That were my key persons of interest that I started following. I must say, recently I've really quite a bit lost interest in most of the vloggers. Apart from your journey, it's
of course
quite similar to my journey, I think, because you also struggle with space at first. Although I think I have also some other rooms in the back that I can be using, so there is more options, but I try to limit it to this space. But I find it interesting how you deal with things. So for me, there's still some new information in there, and some little tips, because it's obviously the same market. The other ones are American, so that's a little bit less interesting, and also even the UK-based stores. It's just not the same, especially with the shipping fees going to UK into the US. It's just really a different market.
After Brexit,
so that's what interests me most. And of course we have the Discord group, so we got a little bit of a community going on, and that's quite nice to see the progress of all the other stores. So I hope this store tour will
give some nice insights in how you do things and your thought process. So that's really amazing to see. And I've got one final question for you. And that's, what's the main tip you would give to a beginning store?
I think there's many ways to tackle this program, but I think to tackle this problem, but there's no single answer for it. I think you'll have to find a way that suits you best, but I think it always starts with that first buy.
Yeah.
But like for me, and I think for you as well, the minifigures really have some sort of attraction to it.
It's a shiny object, and you just wanna.
You just want to work with it. And from the minifigures, that's how it started for me as well. I learned so much about the different sets, minifigures that go together. So I think if you can get your hands on a nice bulk lot of used minifigures, I think that would be a very cool way to start. Also, if you don't really complete them, but just put all the different parts in your story, you can quite easily create a wide variety of items that could be interesting for a lot of people that are trying to complete figures with missing items. So I think that could be quite a good way to get your lot count up and attract some people to come to your store. For me, when I started with the new pieces, it was really disheartening at first, because I had invested quite some sets that I was sorting out and waiting for the order, but nothing was coming. And then at some point you hit a certain mark of lots, and then the ball starts rolling. And then when it starts rolling,
it snowballs.
It snowballs. And so I think if you want to start, if I would start new now, I would definitely start with minifigure parts. I think that would be my go-to. But that's just how I would do it.
Thanks for the insight into the store and tips and your working methods. And of course, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for coming. We're traveling all this way, all the way to the sunny Haarlem.
Yeah, and when you've done the main expansions, I'll be sure to come back sometime.
That would be great. You're more than welcome.